March 13, 2025. This is the S&P 500 E-Futures Mini on the 2000 tick chart using NinjaTrader 8. This is what the chart looked like today. I drew it up, and this is where my trades are. This box, and this box. So it did push down another clean 100 points again. So it's another 100-point range day, similar to yesterday. Volume was a little less than yesterday. Pre-market, it was just choppy. And on the open, it was also just pretty choppy. It's like a sell-off, a spike, this very gradual sell-off with a lot of chops. You see all these orange measured moves. I was looking pretty hard for measured moves, and today was kind of a day of exceeding measured moves. In other words, there's two legs down, and the second leg always kind of went further than it did, and then the bounce or the recovery happened. So like you can see, this one went further down, recovered. This one didn't quite make it. This one also went through the measured move, then went further down. And it was just kind of all over the place. So I took a total of 2 trades today, was profitable on both. But after the second trade, I could kind of tell my mind was waning a little bit. So I knew I was prone to mistakes and just be happy that I took and got 2 trades. So I stopped trading after that, or I stopped taking real trades and then just kind of sat and watched the markets. So I'm going to get into the trades right now. The only economic data that came out was at 5:30 Pacific Standard, which is about right here. And you can see this big green bar occurred. It was the core PPI and unemployment claims. But other than that, there was nothing else that happened. I don't think President Trump really came out and said too much to cause any big jolts. So it was just kind of a slow, meandering day today. A slight bearish pull down, kind of bounced and then kind of closed the lows. Pre-market, there was this big sell-off, break, and then tested the lows. So the pressure down might have been played out. And it pushed up on this orange up channel, break. But then it kind of went down on this green channel. This is where the economic data came out. And it started moving sideways. As it was moving sideways, it looked like it was forming a trading range. And here, at the time, in real time, I thought there was a possible trade here, but I just didn't have the courage to take it because it is a bottom of a possible developing range, because you do have a highs here, triple test, and then lows, which is multiple tests, so maybe a fourth touch here. It's hitting a support region. It's a pretty small signal bar considering, what it was just a small signal bar lately, and it didn't close really at the high, but I wanted another key entry point, at least a higher low, or just something a little more solid. So I left it alone, but I think it's a possible trade. I did to take it, but I didn't. Makes 2 legs up. First push, pull back, second push, but didn't really reach the high. We have a first entry short, second entry short, technically a third entry short, but I don't like that this third entry short already made a new high, so I'm not too keen on that, but then flush down. Breaks below. I'm thinking that this could be a failed breakout and a push back in, but after seeing this and a rejection off the EMA, so here I'm still thinking failed breakout. Here I'm not really thinking failed breakout anymore. Potential failed breakout pullback, because it looked like it kind of rejected off the EMA. It's a little confusing because it's just congested here. It's fighting it out because you can tell these 3 lows are the same, and then these 2 highs are the same. And it starts pushing down. So there's no trade there. No clean second entries. Makes it a new low. Kind of starts pushing sideways again. And I drew this at this point thinking I might be in a trading range. I'm looking for a low touch here, but it doesn't happen. It just starts pushing up. I draw this purple trend line, and the purple trend line, I created a purple channel like this. Then it breaks out and exceeds. So this is, I didn't really see any economic data that came out to cause this. So it pushes out, it oscillates, and here, I dragged it up to here because it looked like it touched here and it touched here. You can disregard this yellow one for now. So this is the trend channel I had at the time. And I actually took this trade. I saw this as a localized new low, say first entry short, pull back, second entry short. Second entry short bounce off this purple up channel, somewhat decent bullish signal bar. I didn't really have this trading range established yet, so you can actually disregard this guy for now. But I did have this potential support area. So it's an aggressive trade. And I thought, okay, well, I'm going to watch the next candle. So it actually opens way down here. It kind of moves down. And when it finally breaks above this guy, I dropped in my order one tick above. And then I waited. It came back, picked me up, and then flushed up, gave me the quick scalp, and then closed at the low. So this is definitely dicey, especially as it kept going. That's when I drew this blue trading range and I realized how risky this trade actually was. So it was a failed second entry short, but it is dicey. Push it down, it creates a, so this is localized new high, but if you took it from here, it's a first entry long pullback, second entry long. The second entry long, I thought, this is a possible trade. It was tempting, but I like it. It was bounce off the EMA. This is a triple test now, it's like one touch. Whether, depending on how you drew it, I actually had it a little bit higher, but then when it broke out and came back down a second time, I was thinking actually it might be slightly lower. So it's kind of like one, two touches, maybe three touches, but certainly it's in this range. There's enough room to the EMA. I didn't take it though, and it flushes up. And here it's chopping upwards. So at the time, I didn't like this, but I also did have something like this established at that point because I had this yellow support line of this channel, which eventually I turned it into this yellow channel. So after the fact, kind of as prices moved, I thought, oh, there was an actual potential bounce off this yellow. Had I trusted this trend line up earlier, it might have been a worthwhile trade. Plus, if you're still playing the purple one, you see it as a fail breakout and prices moving back into the purple. Unfortunately, moving back into the purple could be a fail breakout. Fortunately, I didn't take that trade and kind of process that all in time. Prices continue moving up. Here, it looks like a visual first entry long. This candle is actually lower than this one, so it looks like down, up, first entry long, down, up. So after the second inside bar, I thought this is maybe a possible trade, but it definitely is more aggressive. So it's the first entry long, potential second entry long. It is rather doji-ish or neutral. I guess not doji, but neutral. It is bouncing off the bottom of this yellow up channel. So you do have one touch, two touch, three touch, four touch confirmation. I think I had this slightly, I guess it didn't touch, but I could have sworn I had it kind of touch or pretty close to touching there. So I was thinking another potential move back up. Of course, you don't know it's going to do that, so it flushes hard, not flushes, it rallies hard here, pushes up, now breaks out the low side of this orange, this yellow up channel. This break of this orange could test the low, but it already recovered pretty much half this move. So I'm not really sure if it's going to try to attempt to test the lows because this is a pretty big recovery. I'm thinking more likely it might try to test the highs of this yellow up channel, but it doesn't, kind of comes flushing back down. I draw this green down channel because it actually has nice touch, two touch, three touch. This is consolidation. It just gets choppy here, comes up, breaks out of this green down channel. I'm expecting potentially a test of this low, but also it's pushing up on this orange up channel. EMA seems to be holding. As soon as I see this, I'm thinking, okay, there's probably going to be a touch or a test of this green down channel. So I'm looking for an opportunity to go short. Unfortunately, you don't get that. So it's just the first entry short and makes a new low. Bounces and it comes back up. Creates a first entry short, second entry short, no setup here. Looking for a lower high, but you don't get that. It just kind of keeps going down. At this point, I'm abandoning all thoughts of prices coming back up to test the highs of this yellow up channel because it's just too far from the trade now. Kind of bounces, it hits here and comes down. That's where I draw this transparent trend line coming down because it looks like it's one touch, two touch, three touch. I'm not 100% sure where this is. So initially I had it something like this, but there's not too many good confirmations. It looks like it's just sideways with fail breakout, but even then the trading range doesn't fit that nicely. Pushes down. It's a new high. It's a first entry long. Technically a second entry long, but it's just terrible signal bar and it just feels congested. Just two sideways right here. Choppy. Look at how many dojis are in here. Like two dojis. These just are very tight trading. This is technically a roughly 5 to 6 point range, but the candles themselves are quite big for this range. Creates a 1, 2, 3 triple test. Potential bottom of the range Decent signal bar. I like the signal bar move, you know, one tick below this guy and then close pretty strongly above inside the range. So there might be enough for a quick move up, but I left it alone. Pushes up, kind of comes back down. Small little fail breakout, pushes back down, and it continues down. So at this point, I'm thinking this down channel is fitting pretty well, but I haven't colored it in yet. It's sideways consolidation. Now it breaks out. I'm thinking a fail breakout, potential move back into this as a correction, but it keeps going. It's a break of this orange, test, hits the low. So now I'm thinking, okay, the down channel has a fail breakout, break of this, test the low. There might be a potential long setup, but I need a higher low. But if I also need the higher low not to get too close to the EMA, and if it closes right near this current support line is, then I don't think there's a smart, or not a smart, I don't think there's a safe trade there. And unfortunately, it doesn't do that. Kind of chops and it pushes back up. Okay, so I'm thinking if it can come back, create a failed second entry short, maybe it's going to come back up and test the highs or create a symmetrical breakout on the other side. There's a first entry short. Here, technically, you have a second entry short failure, but I just didn't really like the setup. Pushes up, so it's new low, first entry short. I saw this as kind of one big leg up. So even though there's on the technical count, first entry short, second entry short, third entry short, I saw it more as one leg up, first entry short, second leg up, second entry short. I was also looking and hunting for a measured leg. And as I said, today was kind of the day of exceeding measured legs. I mean, it created two legs up, but it always pushed past. I always like it when it stops just right at it and then reverses, then it feels more confident because you don't know that it was going to push up higher. As soon as I see this, and then I see this, I'm suspicious of whether it's going to push up even higher again. But it did reject off this line, but I don't like the second entry short. Then it creates this lower high. I thought this lower high is actually a possible trade because it's two legs up, hitting the resistance of this down channel. Granted, there's an overshoot here, but then there could be a potential overshoot on this side. But I also played with the idea that this could actually be something closer to this, in which case it might flush back down. Decent signal bar and enough room to the lows. So it pushes down, first entry long, technically a second entry long failure, but this break of this orange has already tested the low, so I'm not too sure, so I left it alone. Prices bounce, it just gets a little choppy. It looks like one leg push up, and this is where I'm looking for the second measured leg down to this low, which would meet and correspond roughly to the same region as the day's low, or the low of day. Pushes down, breaks here, starting to bottom. This creates two neutral bars. Not sure what's going on. Kind of bottoms again. Pushes up. I drew this yellow down channel, but doesn't seem to help too much. So it is new low, first entry short. Technically, you have a second entry short stop short of the EMA, but I'm not necessarily ready to go short yet. And I'm not ready to call potentially a failure to come back up and test the highs. So it's just an area that I'm not 100% certain of. Pushes down. So it's a new low, first entry short, second entry short, second entry short failure. Second entry short failure with potential higher low. I didn't mark it. Failed second entry short. The thing I wasn't too keen on is it's a new low, first entry short, second entry short. Ideally, I want the failure to be right at the EMA and push up, but it broke through the EMA. When it broke through the EMA, this next bar being one tick below and then closing at the high made it more probable you would at least get a 1 point scalp. So I didn't mark it, but I think I should have. And I would have dropped my order pretty much at the highs of this candle. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. Okay, I would have dropped it here. I didn't. Whoa, things are just jumping pretty quickly. Didn't mean to. I'm just moving everything now. Okay, looks like if I took this trade, it would have worked because I would have been picked up on this candle and I get a quick 1 point scalp. Looks like one leg, two legs up, exceeded again. Comes back down, say first entry long, pull back, second entry long. So this is where I take my second trade of the day. Second entry long, technically it's a new high, it's a first entry long, pull back, second entry long. I saw this potentially as a support region. Support region is a good signal bar, but I didn't want to enter, drop my order and have it ready just yet. So I actually waited a little bit, excuse me, waited a little bit just to see what was going to happen. So it actually opened here, flushed down. I was watching carefully. It didn't exceed this candle. It looked like it was kind of respecting this support, pushed up, and as soon as it exceeded this candle right here, the high of this guy, I dropped in my order one tick above. It came back, picked me up, and then immediately flushed up and then flushed down. So this is very reminiscent of my first trade where I got in kind of late, picks me up, flushes up, gives me my profit target, and it flushes down low at the close. So if I waited any longer or I was going for something more than my usual scalp, I probably would have gotten stopped out right here. So when I had this trade occur, where it's the same thing, I entered, I guess premature because it was confirmed second entry long, but this candle didn't close yet, and I had already entered. It gave me my target, it gave me a profit, and then closed back below it. So that gave me kind of an indication like I'm not reading the market or I'm just being too aggressive. So I didn't take any more trades after this, but I think dodged a bullet by taking this trade. In this case, it would have worked because this candle may or may not have gotten me out, but then this one would have. And then if I stayed any longer than that, then this probably would have stopped me out. The price is kind of chopped sideways, bottoms out at the low of day, break of this orange up channel, test the high, makes a second push up and starts moving up. I'm thinking there might be a channel here, pushes up, it gets a little congested, comes flushing down really hard. So I'm looking for potential bounce. But as I said, I wasn't really going to take any more trades, but I was just looking to see if there would have been a trade opportunity. So here it is a new high. It's a first entry long, pullback, second entry long. I saw this and I saw how it played out. I saw it open, flush below, and then reverse strongly. I doubt I would have been fast enough to try to enter this, but it would have been on an engulfing bar. But I look back at it and I did have FOMO thinking like, wow, you could have at least, gotten in and out of the trade rather quickly. But I think that is wishful thinking. I highly doubt if I wanted to take a trade, if I was still mentally in the mode of trading, I would have gotten in early enough to get a good fill and scalp out. But once this closed, I'd be hesitant to try to take a trade here. Potentially EMA here. Potentially this could be a breakout, potential pullback. But this trading range isn't super confirmed yet. So there shouldn't be too much respect given to this line anyways. So it's just I wouldn't have taken it after it closed. And it was just a little bit, I was just curious to see what was going to happen here. The flush is down. Definitely when you see something like this, if I was waiting for this to close, then waiting to see the follow through on this one, seeing this would make me very hesitant to try to take long. Definitely I wouldn't be thinking of going short. It's choppy, and it pushes, hits this choppy range as new high, first entry long, pullback. Technically you have a second entry long here. Second entry long isn't a good signal bar. Pushes down. EMA is not being helpful at all in this area. New high, first entry long, second entry long failure, but there's no clean setup. New low, first entry short. Technically, you have a second entry short, but you can see it as two legs visually. First entry short, second entry short. This isn't a good signal bar, so I would not have been ready to take a trade because I didn't like this. It's this new low here. Creates a new low, first entry short. Break of this green up channel, test the high now. So it's first entry short, second entry short. I'm thinking the uptrend in this small region might have played out, and then it creates a lower high here. One tick up, flushes down. It makes a double bottom. I didn't like that it did that, so I called it an almost trade because it didn't break below. Plus, it's getting close to the EMA, which hasn't been super reliable, but it has been kind of acting as resistance here. So is it going to act as support or resistance to the downside here? I'm not sure. So I just didn't really like the setup. It comes back and you do have a second entry long here. This is a small bar, but it's inside to this one, so it's not a very safe setup. Get a higher low here, but it's too far from the EMA. Then you really don't get any second entries that are clean. You have a new high, first entry long, pullback. This is your second entry long right here, but this is a signal bar. You would not have been thinking of going long after seeing this bar. And then you're looking for a higher low, and technically you get a higher low here, but again, it's not a very good signal bar. Pushes up, no clean second entries. New high, it's a first entry long, pullback. You have a second entry long here again. First entry, second entry, not a good signal bar. It's a localized new high. It's a first entry. I saw this as a potential second entry long here. It is a break of this green down channel, and it made a double bottom, but you could say that it pretty much tested the lows. So it's a push down. Didn't mean to do that. Push down. One attempt down. It potentially hit the bottom. This is a decent signal bar. It might be enough for a 1 point scalp, but seeing this in real time, push down, one attempt down. This yellow up channel has already tested the high. So the only reason to go long would be you think there's a correction. So it's a break of this yellow, broke. This is the high is already uptrend on this yellow channel is played out. Red channel needs to test its high, but once it exceeded its low, this red channel, in my opinion, isn't in play anymore. This green down channel broke, tested the low. So is it going to try a second time to actually create a new low? I'm not sure. I highly doubt it after seeing this candle, or at least I think there's enough of a chance for it to give you a 1 point scalp before maybe resuming back to the low side. But it was a little ambiguous, so I just kind of put an arrow there and just left it alone. Pushes up, gets congested here, follows one leg, push up, second leg, makes the measured move. First entry short, second entry short, again, congested, makes a localized new high. First entry long, pull back. Technically have a second entry long right here, but I don't like these big tails, so it's just ambiguous. Plus it's getting close to the end of the day. Pushes just kind of chops sideways into the close. So it wasn't, I mean, it was just, as you can see in my charts, pretty messy with these measured legs that I've drawn, but the prices just kind of exceeded those measured legs. It did create those two legs up. It kind of, for the most part, followed price action, but it was just not the cleanest because it would do some things that made it a little ambiguous. I did get two trades. In both trades, I entered slightly late, but I was able to get out before the next moves happened. So I think they were quite lucky. I think, in my opinion, good idea to just stop after the second trade because I do feel like as watching this, I was getting a little sloppy, a little greedy, and just better to walk away two trades up and just kind of look for more setups going forward on the next day. So hopefully that was helpful.